시카고 다운타운 남쪽 뮤지엄 캠퍼스에 자리한 자연사 박물관 필드 뮤지엄. 이곳에서 수십만 년 전 살았던 맘모스와 마스토돈에 대한 특별 전시회가 열리고 있습니다. 다양한 학습용 시뮬레이션과 더불어 각종 맘모스, 마스토돈의 전시물을 만지고 체험할 수도 있는 배움의 공간. 특히 42,000년 된 아기 맘모스 미라는 많은 사람들의 특별한 관심을 끌고 있습니다. 이번 시선 집중 코너는 필드 뮤지엄 프로젝트 매니저 톰 스쿼스키시의 해설과 함께 맘모스와 마스토돈의 세계로 함께 떠나보겠습니다.
We're in the exhibition called Mammoths and Mastodons, Titans of the Ice Age here at the Field Museum. And the exhibition is really the first of its kind to be such a large exhibition devoted to not only woolly mammoths, but also Columbian mammoths and mastodons and elephants as well. What is the difference between a mammoth and a mastodon? And well, first of all, let's start with the similarities. They're both proboscideans, which means they both have trunks and tusks. They're cousins of elephants, so they both evolved millions of years ago to have these features, trunks and tusks. But at the same time, they are slightly different, and that difference really is reflected in their diet, the things that they ate, grasses versus barks and other plants like that. So you see that difference reflected in their teeth primarily. Mastodons have kind of pointy teeth like little mountains, and then woolly mammoths have teeth that are more flat for grinding grasses. They're also a little different in size. Woolly mammoths could get about 12 feet high at their shoulder, and mastodons were a little shorter and stockier, about 9 feet high. But other than that, they're very similar looking creatures, both trunks and tusks. We created an exhibition that we really wanted to be geared towards a younger audience, primarily families with children, maybe 8 to 12 years old. You know, these kids are our future scientists, and we want them to come here to the museum and be inspired by the specimens that we have on exhibit, giant skulls from these animals, long bones, recreations like this Columbian mammoth that we have in the exhibition, but also we hope that the baby mammoth, Luba, this most well-preserved mammoth ever discovered, will inspire a lot of young scientists as well.
무려 42,000년 된 아기 맘모스 리우바의 미라. 태어난 지 한 달 만에 사고로 죽은 아기 맘모스가 놀라운 상태로 보존됐습니다.
This is a 42,000-year-old baby mammoth that was discovered in Siberia back in May of 2007. She is named Luba, which is the name of the wife of the reindeer herder who discovered her in Siberia. She is the most well-preserved baby mammoth ever discovered. In fact, the most well-preserved mammoth ever discovered. As I said, she's 42,000 years old, yet she still has all of her skin, some fur, although most of it has fallen off. She's got eyeballs, she's got teeth, she's got the contents of her stomach and intestines still, and she has been a great discovery for scientists who have been able to do things like CT scans and MRIs. They've been able to do dissections, take tissue samples, and as I mentioned about the contents of her stomach, they've been able to go in and look at that, and they've discovered things like her mother's milk. They've discovered some plants in there as well, so they know that she was really healthy when she died. And in fact, they've been able to date her life to only 30 days. She was 30 days old when she unfortunately died very quickly. But she's amazingly well preserved, and that's part of the effect of how she died in a mud puddle, that the mud that killed her also preserved her tissue as well. And then shortly after that, she was encased in permafrost, where she stayed for about 42,000 years. So it's pretty remarkable, her state of preservation.
전시장에서 시선을 사로잡는 커다란 마스토돈 뼈. 만년 전 북미 대륙을 풍미했던 대형 동물의 위용을 충분히 느끼게 해줍니다.
So I'm standing in front of a cast of a skeleton of a mastodon, an American mastodon. And mastodons are an interesting part of the evolutionary story of proboscideans because whereas mammoths, both the woolly mammoths and the Columbian mammoths, lived in different environments around the world, American mastodons only lived here in North America. They are the shorter, kind of stockier cousin of the mammoth. Their tusks are a little straighter, and as I mentioned before, they have different kinds of teeth for eating different diets. We wanted to have not only replications of these really large creatures, but also skeletons as well. And as I said, this is a cast from the University of Michigan's mastodon. Well, mastodons primarily lived in wooded environments, places like Michigan, which would have been very rich in terms of the types of plants that they ate, and also they ate bark and twigs and other things, not just grasses like mammoths.
맘모스라고 해서 다 큰 것은 아닙니다. 작은 사이즈의 피그미 맘모스도 눈길을 끕니다.
So I'm standing in front of a replication or a recreation of a pygmy mammoth. And pygmy mammoths are an interesting animal because they existed a little bit longer after regular mammoths, Columbian mammoths or woolly mammoths, I should say, went extinct about 10,000 years ago. The reason that they are this size, this is not a baby, but in fact it's an adult. And in every way, it is just like a regular Columbian mammoth. It is mature, it has the teeth of a mature adult mammoth, yet it's just mini. And the reason that they became this size is that they lived on islands, and then you didn't have the predators that you had on the mainland, and also your resources were much less. Therefore, these animals became smaller, and in fact, so we call them dwarf or pygmy mammoths.
현재 필드 뮤지엄은 맘모스 마스토돈 전시회와 더불어 다이아몬드전 등 매 시즌마다 새로운 전시회를 개최하고 있습니다. 1893년 개장한 이래 지구상 자연세에 대한 수많은 전시 자료로 시카고인은 물론 세계인의 발걸음을 모으고 있습니다.
Okay, so the Field Museum of Natural History was created after the World's Columbian Exposition in 1893, which was here in Chicago. Marshall Field, the founder of the Field Museum here, purchased a lot of the exhibitions that were on exhibit during the World's Fair in 1893 and started the Field Museum soon after that. Its original home was up in Hyde Park, where where the Museum of Science and Industry is now. And in 1922, we moved to this current location here on the museum campus on Lakeshore Drive. We have about 8 changing exhibitions a year here at the museum. And then we also have a lot of permanent galleries as well, devoted to natural history, botany, geology, zoology, and anthropology. Well, this one is pretty exciting. But we also have an exhibition on diamonds currently, and then later this summer we will have an exhibition on climate change, which is a very important topic to many of our scientists here at the museum. And then in the fall we'll have an exhibition on gold as well.
시카고 자연사 박물관 필드 뮤지엄의 맘모스 마스토돈전은 오는 9월 6일까지 열립니다. 기본 입장료 외에 어린이 $15, 어른 $18의 추가 입장료가 있습니다. 전시회에 대한 자세한 내용은 박물관 홈페이지에서 알아볼 수 있습니다. 이상 뉴스 매거진의 시선 집중이었습니다.